Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and join with me today, as always, is my co-host, Chris. How you doing, man?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Episode 70, guys. That's
Woohoo.
we're chugging along here. That's pretty good. I was surprised to see that number here today. We're inching closer and closer to that anniversary 75th 75th.
Super Side 75?
That's right. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll have something interesting planned to talk about for that one. So stay tuned. But yeah, this week we're gonna be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of March 29th, 2023 that we've read and that we wanted to talk about here today. As always, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, that like button for us, hit that notification bell to be notified when these videos drop. You can also follow us on Instagram at Late Night Collectors Community for up-to-date kind of updates as to when these shows come out, as well as all the other shows that come out here on the Late Night Collectors Community. I think next week we're going to be dropping some new Pokemon cards videos from Cracking Packs with the Chat. The new set actually is coming out at the time of this recording, so stay tuned for that. I think Christine will be opening up some packs of the new set, so we'll kind of plug that next week when it comes out, but just be aware. And yeah, spoiler warning, guys. We're going to be talking about what happened in some of the books here today. So, we're going to be showing off some art. So, things do get spoiled. In order for us to properly review them, we got to talk about what happened in the books. And yeah, just be forewarned. But that all being said, Chris.
All right. Well, let's cheers. And
Cheers.
let's talk comics.
Have some comics. All right. First up on the docket here today, we got Dark Knights of Steel after many a months being not here. And I think after this issue, I think it's the same thing. I don't think we're gonna be seeing this for a few months, apparently, in the next
Oh,
issue. They're
this
really
timing is killing me on this.
they're really killing us on this one, unfortunately, with the time that it's taken to come out. But what did you think of this issue though, Chris?
It sucks to wait so long for just a filler issue. I thought this was basically a filler issue. They didn't have to waste so much time with the history of the black and green or the green and white Martian manhunters. And I thought the I guess being the white Martian, I don't know what are they called, Martian manhunters? I don't know what the race they're called.
Yeah, the White Martians. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess they're ended up being revealed as the true villain of this series, I imagine, unless they got some more twists and turns ahead. So I felt that was kind of underwhelming. The other stuff was good. Where you have them all in the whatever in the chamber, kind of discussing what they're going to do, trying to put all their stuff aside. That's all good stuff. But I think they just spent too much time on, kind of rehashing, I guess, Alfred or whatever they want to call him, Alfred's history there as a kid. Like could have just summed that up in a few sentences. Oh, I lived a great life there. These white Martian manhunters wanted to kill us all, so I had to escape. But they kind of stretched that out a little bit. So I felt, maybe if this was coming monthly, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But you're waiting so long for these comics. You want big things happening every issue. It's coming near the end, and then bang, it hits you with a filler.
Yeah, I think I think I looked. I get what you're saying. I think I'm looking at it slightly a little bit differently, though. Although I don't think this issue blew my socks off, especially after the wait that we've had to endure. I do think it was an interesting and ballsy move to kind of change up the story in this direction suddenly with 2 issues to go in this initial series, and it kind of really gave me hope that there is going to be more past this.
Yeah.
Series, because I'm like, this guy is basically just turning this into an alien invasion story all of a sudden, which I thought was kind of like an interesting and ballsy move, right? Like he kind of just didn't fully, like there's always been different versions of these characters throughout this story, but he didn't go with and fully embrace the whole, like, this is like Game of Thrones in the DC.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was really enjoying that Game of Thrones sort of vibe it was giving off, and now it seems to be out the window.
Well, that's not that may not be the case. This is what I'm saying. Maybe he's going to bring it back. Maybe this is just the conclusion of this story, and then they're going to tell more stories in this kind of time period, right? I don't know, but if this is all it turns out to be, I don't know how much I love this last minute swerve with 2 issues to go. That this is just fully kind of embrace because you figure next issue now they're fully they're invading now. Like this is basically what happens at the end of this issue. Like the White Martians are coming to fight.
Yeah.
Gonna have to deal with that next issue, And then basically whatever the fallout of that will probably be in the last issue of this 12 issue maxi series, right? So like I definitely could see this going places like other than just the end of it being this Martian Manhunter story, because then
Yeah,
what was the point of establishing all these other families in this realm?
exactly. Yeah,
So yeah, so I don't think this is all it's going to be. I think there's going to be more. So I still have high hopes for this, but I agree with you in the sense that this was a little underwhelming. I do like, you know, how we finally got some you know, like some like this whole thing with this Luther, I guess, is the one up in the tree here getting killed and taken out by the White Martian at the end here.
yeah.
I thought that was interesting. We got some closure on that whole kind of story piece that's kind of been around since the start of the series with the
Well,
green.
that's it. You thought this guy was like the big bad or some powerhouse, and he was just a pawn.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, I'm still looking forward to see what happens next. I mean, he's pulled a few crazy swerves on us already in this series. So I you know, I'm interested to see what he still has left with 2 issues to go.
Yeah, no, yeah, like I say, I thought the art was great in it again, though. That's
Sure.
nothing. I got to mention that. And I'm still liking the story, but like I say, just if you're reading this in a trade, I think this would be something that'd be hard to put down. But when you got to wait, what, 2 months between issues,
Yeah, you
it's
better
tough.
really bring it. No, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. So what'd you give this 1 out of 5 then?
I'll give it a 3.75.
You know, I think I still got to go with the 4 though. I agree with you what you're saying, but at the same time, I think it was an interesting move to kind of switch it up on us at this point in time. What he does from here on out, though, it really depends on how I feel about the series overall, quite frankly. And with 2 issues to go,
Yeah.
you know, he's
Well,
gonna
that 3.75 is versus, I guess, it's other issues, not the other comics this week. You know
have
what I mean?
there, yeah, because it was a kind of a weird week, I think, of comics this week in the sense that like it was all over the place. I feel like in terms of the quality, right? So, but we'll get into it here as we keep going on. So, next up, we got Daredevil #9. Got this cover here as we kind of inch closer. It looks like to
Yeah, I
the
got one of the Alex Ross covers there,
yeah,
Electra.
yeah. As we
So
inch
these
closer,
covers here, they're pretty decent. You have to look at them from the right distance. Too close, they're not too good. Too far away, they're not too good. But if you're like 3 or 4 feet away from them, they look great.
yeah, because like in some aspects that I've covered, you're like, oh, she's kind of looking a little manly in the face there.
Yeah, you look back at it where you can't see the details so well, and it's cool. It's not a bad cover.
Yeah,
Also have just while we got the Alex Ross covers there, also got the Venom cover
oh
from
yeah,
this is from Lethal. What's his Lethal Protectors or something?
yes.
So I'm not really reading this series, but I saw the cover on the wall, and for whatever reason, I didn't get it on pre-order. These covers are kind of getting to me, so
They're
I thought
nice.
I'd pick that up. They're
They're
nice.
they're nice. Yeah, I mean
Back to
he's
Daredevil. Oh man, alive.
famous for a reason, Alex Ross, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So what'd you think of Daredevil?
Uh, I think I noticed a new artist in this issue.
It's bad. Yeah, I don't get.
Brutal.
Yeah, I was like, you know, because we're actually closer to the end of Zdarsky's run here. I'm like, really? This is the artist you
Yeah,
guys?
now they're gonna freaking drop in some like chump artist. Like just looking at the first page. Okay, that's decent, but
Yeah.
I
Oh,
just I gotta go right off the bat. You gotta go to this last page there where it's supposed to be the big reveal of the I
here.
guess the heroes coming to get Daredevil. And if you figure this guy could have put a bit more effort into this this splash page here or something. Like who's that with the wings in the back? It's like a scribble.
Valkyrie, come on.
Oh, that's Valkyrie there. I couldn't tell with it's hard to tell with all that detail.
Yeah, his artwork's very muddy looking. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I agree with you. This is not he's not a great artist. Manuel Garcia or something like that, I think his name is. And I to be honest, I think I don't know if this is his first issue on the series. He may have popped up here and there when Chichetto
Maybe
maybe.
some of those Goldie stories or something where
Yeah, I think maybe this isn't the first time we've seen of his art, but I also feel like he's the worst of the artists that have been on this book thus far. And if this is, I hope he's not writing this literally this last arc because it's going to go out with a whimper. I feel like at that point you need to bring back Marco Cicchetto to bust
yeah,
out.
like especially if they did, I guess they did announce that this is the end.
Yeah.
Like, freaking go out on your strong feet here, like, because the story's still pretty decent. I guess some big things went on in here. I
Yeah.
guess you got the fallout of their battle with the Hand, and with the reveals of what Foggy and Stick were both. I don't know what they were. They're like ghosts of the Hand or something, and
So that's my question I had for you. It was it wasn't 100% clear to me what happened there. So yeah, so it looks like the Hand there's someone unbeknownst to him. They resurrected Stick and Foggy because there was a moment where he went to visit Foggy after he got put in the hospital for something, and like he actually apparently had died. I guess he wasn't aware of this, or I don't recall if they had mentioned this previously during the run. But was it Kingpin that he alluded to that set this in motion? Is that what he said? Because I believe that's what he
well, they
revealed.
were supposed to be Kingpin and goons that put Foggy in the hospital, and then he was just saying, you should have realized that Kingpin doesn't do anything halfway. You should have realized Kingpin killed me.
So
But,
who was it that did that then? With the was the Hand that
it
did that?
sounds like, yeah, they were just kind of puppets of the Hand. Like the Hand kind of created this fist to try and just kind of get the dead rot out of the Hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I understood it, at least.
Also, these guys, these heroes are quite busy between showing up in the Punisher book and in this book, right? Because this guy
Yeah,
he just dealt like this is the fallout essentially of the Punisher fight that goes down in this issue, and this is basically Zdarsky wiping the slate clean by saying like, oh yeah, that whole city, that sanctuary thing he set up for all these guys, yeah, that's destroyed, right? So like, so he's back to square one. So I thought that was
yeah,
really cool. And then secondly, again, I don't know if they just came back from the Punisher or their Punisher's the next stop, but these guys are just showing up on like, these guys fought, and all of a sudden the heroes are just showing up to ruin both of their days. I kind of it's interesting reading Punisher and Daredevil right
yeah.
now.
They almost both ended the same way.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, we got was it the Stormwinds or whatever? I guess they're trying to get their pound of flesh there out of Daredevil, and you're basically just nuking or bombing the hell out of wherever he's staying.
Yeah.
So, like I say, the story's decent, but it lost a lot in the art there. That kind of like they didn't just go from top tier to third string. They went like freaking top tier to I don't know what. But
I'm with
that page just killed me.
I'm with you. Not a great artist, and I noticed it right away as well too. Like you mentioned, I didn't put the first page into the art to show off to people because it was so bad. I agree with you. Yeah, like that first one where it was like he was in like a dream sequence or something, like he was like having a
Yeah.
nightmare. I was just like, what the
Yeah, like
hell?
basically I was hoping that maybe he's just a nightmare, and this is the nightmare art. You wake up, he's going to be back to Chichetto or something, but no.
It
Yeah,
actually it actually looks better on the screen than it does in real life, guys.
yeah. Maybe this is what you need to read online. Most times, good art looks better in your hand, but I guess the bad art looks better on the monitor or better on your tablet.
Yeah. So what did you give this out of 5 then?
Uh, the thing is, I give this a 3.752 because the story I think is still moving along. But then if I give like like that Dark Knights of Steel is like freaking hands above this, so I'm gonna give it 3.5.
Exactly. I was just about to interject there and say, yeah, I would agree with you on 3.75, but you got to give it a lower rating because of the art. I mean, and that could be possibly a sliding scale, could go even lower if we're going to
Yeah,
base it on art and story for that matter. But I think the story's strong enough to keep it at 3.5.
yeah,
Yeah, for me personally. But yeah, if the story was just okay, I would give this even lower. But I think it was a really good issue, and I'm interested to see where this
yeah.
leads.
Dude. Let's see what happens. Both Punisher and Daredevil here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it looks like they're both going to be wrapping up around the same. Maybe there's a future for both those characters together. Because I do know that they just announced that they are going to be both on like in the movies or the TV shows or something
Yeah,
together again. I think that the Punisher, they announced that they're going to go with his War Machine storyline, which is something where he basically gets the
yeah.
War.
He gets the armor.
That's right. So I think there's going to be hope for that Punisher again in comics if that is the case. Like past this point, like where he's like
Yeah,
this. You know what I mean? Like I think the symbol is going to come back. It's about time. I think, quite honestly.
yeah. I think once everything dies down,
Yeah. So
that symbol is still money. You can still sell a ton of shirts or a ton of products with that symbol on it.
yeah, absolutely. All right. Next up, we got Action Comics 1053. Chris.
Yeah, Action Comics 1053. You got Butterface Superman or Butt in Face Superman. I don't know. But let's see. The main story is still pretty good here. You got, I think that's Metallo, and he's being, I guess, coerced by Lex Luthor there, and he's going after the Superman family. You know, it hits some heavy beats here, but you know they're nothing big or whatever. You know, I guess this Metallo's supercharged, and I think you know the super family's there, and he blasts Supergirl like with some I don't know whatever kryptonite radiation. So it takes a lot of the hero, or it takes a lot of the super family off the table while he's fighting, because you know you got to get another one of the super people, super family to take Kara back to somewhere. So basically, it ends up with Superman there alone, and then I think he tracks down Lex Luthor because Lex Luthor set all this stuff in motion. But one of the only things that gets me here is they make a lot of reference to Superman, the other series, because Lex Luthor's part of that. So this is all sort of happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
But in the other Superman story, like Lex is trying to kiss Superman's ass or something. You know, he's trying to be all buddy buddy. But in this one here, he's almost the exact opposite. Like you know, if Lex Luthor was involved with you know Supergirl getting blasted to almost the point of death, you think he'd be not so lenient on him, let's say, in the other story. But that's the only thing there. And I don't know. At the end, one of those War World twins seems to go on a rampage. So the main story's not too bad. They got the two backup stories. This one here is with I think John Kent's a little kid, and it's a nice cartoon. He's you know if this was a Saturday morning cartoon, it'd be a good story. I think has like some doomsday is in there, and there's some alien princess that he's trying to protect, and they're trying to take him back, and I don't know, he's guilty by association or something. That's decent. And then there's this Power Girl story at the end, which is just baloney.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, they're all delving in each other's minds or something like that. And this is going to continue into the Power Girl special, which I already pre-ordered because again, as an art germ cover with Power Girl, I can't turn that down. But I don't think the story's going to be all that great, you know, unless they kind of get back into super stuff, not floating around in each other's minds and trying to figure things out.
Right.
But yeah, this Action Comics, I don't know. I think I might be dropping it unless they start coming up with some heavy duty covers because these stories just ain't. These backup stories ain't holding my attention. You know, I was excited for the Power Girl stuff. Haven't read much of her, but it's not really like a Power Girl story. It's I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I'd give this a 3.5.
Okay. And next up, you got Punchline, the Gotham game #6, the conclusion. Oh,
And I got one of the variant covers. I think it's a Derek Chew. I don't know if you can see this so well here. Maybe I'll pull it out.
take a look at this.
Might look a little better here.
Oh, nice cover. Nice.
Yeah, that's a super sweet cover here. You know, got all the.
Nice cover.
It really has nothing to do with the issue. This is just a nice cover. But
Yeah.
the issue is surprisingly better. I guess this is the last one in the series of 6. And I think
Let me ask you something. What made them go a little cheesecakey in this one all of a sudden? Because like I felt
if
like
the whole series was like this, I might have liked this a whole lot better. Like I didn't go back to see what the artist was, if this was the same artist the whole time. But this one here just seemed to be like heads, you know, like my heads and shoulders above whatever else has been going on.
You're a broad half the issue. I was like, what's going on in this one?
Yeah. Like, you know, I didn't even remember what happened in the last issue, but I think in the last issue, I guess she got grazed by a bullet and Joker found her in the dumpster. About the only good thing has been the interaction between her and the Joker in this whole series. And, you know, the Joker really has nothing to do in there. Basically, the Joker just patches her up. And then, you know, they have a little exchange about whatever they talk about. And, you know, and she goes, oh, I got to get back to my business. And he has the big classic line, oh, it's sad to see you go, but it's nice to watch you walk away or whatever. And that's about all the Joker had to say there. But the art in that part got really cheesecakey, and I go, oh wow, that was surprising. And then I don't know what this whole Gotham game was that she was up to. All she does really at the end is she basically arranges a flash mob of all these drug people that were I guess there's that exo drug that she was trying to push with the Royal Flush gang. And I guess when she blew up that warehouse, everybody in that area sort of kind of got addicted to it by, you know, secondhand exposure. And then she put out the word that there's going to be a big shipment there, so everybody's rushing into there to try and get some of this drug. And basically, Batman shows up and he's kind of put at odds because he can't fight these people, and
Yeah.
they're just probably they're just a mob of 3,000 people, and so it seems like she gets the upper hand, but. And I guess that's what she wanted, but there's no I thought this was her trying to take over the underworld or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they say her story might continue in Catwoman, so I'll see how that goes. It's an interesting character, but it only got interesting in this last issue. Like
Yeah.
the rest of this stuff was just blah. So for the series, I give the series a 3.5. I think this might have been the best issue of the series, and this is a grade, compared to amongst itself. So I'd give it a 3.75 compared to the other
Right.
issues of this series.
Right. Right. Okay. Based on this, do you think if there were other miniseries of this character, you'd check it out, or you would be like, read
I'd
all?
still check it out depending what the art team is and sort of what the story's going on.
That's fair.
It,
Yeah.
it's tough for her. Like this wasn't one that she really could seem like she could pull on her own. Maybe there was more Joker in there or something. But I think they just threw the Joker in there just to pump the numbers or something.
Yeah, that's when you got to get the obligatory Batman and Joker show up in the comic type shit, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. All right. Next up, we got Gotham City Year One, number 6, which is the conclusion of this mini series. Um, I this was a really good last issue of this series that really brought everything together. And again, it's one of those things that, like, the way that Tom King writes comics, and I had talked about this in comparison to Human Target for a while, because like the last 6 issues were all coming out around the same time, which also just recently concluded and was also a murder mystery type of thing with like a femme fatale and certain situations that are similar to this, but this is like back in the day, like 1940s or 50s or something like that, Gotham. So like there was like a lot of like things to compare those two stories by, and I always felt that the Human Target was the although it was a 12 issue series and much different than this one, was the better of the two. But I gotta say, he really brought it all together in this last issue. I thought this as a standalone issue was a really good issue. Even stood out amongst the stuff that came out this week, for that matter. And it kind of came down to it with him talking about Slam Bradley in the last couple issues. We found out that he was of mixed race. I guess he was kind of like, I think it was his mother that was black. Like there was somebody in his family is black, but he looked, he's more on the white side of things when he was born. Like he looked more white. So he identified as white. And like it kind of got into like some sort of like racial type stuff like going on back in the day in Gotham in this issue. And not only that, but it wasn't preachy, but it kind of like worked it into the story in a really well done way, I thought. And like he kind of had this inner monologue where he talked about like a certain point in his life where they kind of asked his race on like a form he was filling out, and he checked the white mark because he knew that things would be easier for him in that sense back then. So like it was kind of interesting. And like again, he's talking about this whole story sitting on his deathbed as an old ass man, Slam Bradley, in today's times to Batman. And we really haven't seen that scene since the first issue. So that's how they end this issue, is him basically saying like, I'm not going to last much longer here in the hospital, but I wanted to tell you this story. And the story essentially is about his grandparents, Bruce Wayne, and basically how he got involved in this whole case with them, where it turned out his grandfather was the bad guy, and his wife at the time was like stuck in this fucked up situation of a marriage, and that they had a fling. And basically by the end of it, like he got manipulated into helping her, Slam Bradley, the detective, somehow. And so like years later, he references the fact that she came to like see him when they're much older, and she came to ask for like another favor, or to ask of something of him years after the fact that this all went down. And he basically, you know, told her, where the door is, showed her where the door is essentially, and kind of, didn't want to go back like and deal with her. And you know what I mean? Like, even though they had like a little fling or whatever, he just he felt betrayed, I think, by what basically transpired as a result of this case. And even though she was a woman trapped in a bad situation, the way that she brought him into the case and deceived him and basically made him accompany to the crimes that she committed, because she ends up killing his grandfather, her husband, in this story, made it all really worthwhile of a story to be told, and really kind of just put a nice end cap on the whole thing, and everything really came together very nicely in this issue, despite me thinking it was dragging for a couple issues in the middle of this 6-issue series, which should be making it like a lot more tighter of a story, you would think, right? But I gotta say, it ended great. The art was great, very moody and kind of noirish type of detective story, like perfect for the mood of this series. And I thought it was really well done. I think when it's all said and done, it was a good story. Not your typical Batman story, because he's barely in this. This is basically a story from back in the day that dealt with his parents, and it was a detective story at its core. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I gave this issue like a 4, maybe 4.25, actually, this out of 5, this last issue. I think this was a standout of the series. I think it would read all better in one chunk, which is the case with a lot of Tom King's stuff. But I was really surprised about this, because I got to say, even though I was enjoying it, I think the last couple of issues I felt weren't doing it for me as much as the start of the series, but he brought it home with this one, so I got to give it up to him. And I got to say, the whole mini series, I would probably give a 4 out of 5 for that matter. As a result, maybe 3.754, around there, I would say. Definitely worth checking out, though, if that sounds interesting to you. And then next up, I give it's Clobbering Time #1. Where's that one here? Yeah, got my issue right here. So I took a flyer on this one. I think this is like going to be a 5-issue mini series, written and drawn by Steve Scroce, who is a fan of his art. And his art's like very weird looking and very detailed and like really interesting, though. And he doesn't really do a lot of interior work. Like, his stuff takes a long time, I think, to come out. The last couple of projects I think he did over an Image that he had worked on. And but this was a hell of a lot of fun, man. I mean, I had a great time. This is exactly what I wanted from this mini series, and I'm probably going to see the whole thing through. I mean, you start off with this Watcher, kind of like this like mercenary looking Watcher, telling the story about like Hulk and Thing. And usually whenever like the Hulk and Thing are involved in a story like this, they end up fighting each other. That doesn't happen in this issue, though, which was actually kind of refreshing and different to see. It's Clobbering Time. It's really them just fighting everybody else. So far, even though they're kind of getting on each other's nerves, they are friends. So but there's so many times where Hulk just raged out and like Hulk smashed. And then there's so many issues in the past of Marvel history where these two just end up having a throwdown of sorts, which is also fun. But in this one, I don't know, this like robot basically infiltrates the Fantastic Four tower when where Bruce Banner is just hanging out with Reed, and Reed walks off to do something, and it's just him and Thing sitting there. And it's like an amalgamation of like a Doom and Iron Man bot of some sort. I don't know, some weird guy that basically infiltrates Fantastic Four headquarters. And he opens up this portal, and they end up getting pushed through. So then Bruce Banner and Thing, he ends up transforming when they get there. They just end up, they're just in some weird time and place, and they end up fighting big kaiju monsters. I mean, it's very simple, but again, it has great art. And it was fun, and it's kind of what I wanted from this type of comic. I don't need always some like big complicated type of plot or something, right? So yeah, they fought monsters. They helped save this planet of these weird creatures. They got caught in the middle of like a war, and by the end of it, they're sitting on a dead pile of like bad guys that they had to kill. And they're all bruised up and beaten to hell. And then all of a sudden, this big celestial shows up, and they get sent back to their time. And there you see them all bloodied and like with scars, and like the Thing is like the way they made them all scratched up and actually beat up and missing rocks and everything. I really appreciated it. And then all of a sudden, Reed returned from his task that he was doing, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on, guys?" And they're sitting out there just like all beat up. Anyways, like, and it says next issue Wolverine. So I'm on board. I had a lot of fun with this. I think it's worth checking out. Like I said, this isn't gonna this isn't like the best written comic of the year or anything like that, but I think it's one of those things where, like, if you like the art and you just want to see a nice, fun, smash them up comic, the Clobbering Time, this is something for you. I had a lot of fun with it, so I'm looking forward to the next one. And like future issues, I've seen the solicits, gonna have Doom in it. So yeah, I'm on board. If this was like a an ongoing series, I don't know if I would stick with it, but it's a mini series, so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
I give it a 3.75 out of 5. All right, next up, Harley Quinn 28.
Ooh.
Right here, another Dawn of DC comic as they switch up the creative team of this book. Sweeney Boo on art. I think was it Teeny Howard writing it? Yeah. What do you think, Chris?
I don't know. Wasn't my favorite. I like the art. The cover's good, but I just don't like the whole tone of the comic. It seems like it takes place in some fantastical world there, and everybody seems to be crazy. Like what I liked about Harley Quinn was always that she was, the one that was kind of off the rails, and everybody else is just trying to put up with her. But here, everybody seems to be off the rails. So I think it takes away kind of from her personality. And I don't know. This story is just more reminds me of like Harley Quinn the Animated Adventures or something, or it should be in something like that. I don't know. What did you think of it?
I really disliked this comic.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me. So I wanted to like this.
So two things. So the art I'm showing on the screen, if you read this online digitally, it's way better for the fact that they have this on this type of paper that it's muted, the color. Like the color is soft and muted, and this is bold and like much more colorful than it looks at like on the page itself. I don't know if it's the paper they use because it's kind of like that matte kind of like newsprint type paper, or if it's just the colors, the way that they came out in comparison to reading them digitally, where they're much more striking. But that's a big problem I felt with this comic, is like the colors didn't stand out and actually make the art look better than it should. Like it was very muted and flat. Didn't go well with this artist. I like Sweeney Boo, but a lot of her art too at times is too cutesy for some of the stuff that's happening in this comic, even, unfortunately. Like I think she's a great cover artist for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Draws a great Harley. Some stories she would be great for her for her like she's gonna be the ongoing artist. So I think in some stories it's gonna come off really well. But in other situations where like for instance, like Two-Face shows up in this, he's not scary looking. So like it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't work well for certain things, I think, in this book. So those are honestly like between the colors on the book and the artist's choice not working well for some of these scenes. That was and that's the art. Despite me liking Sweeney Boo, then you get to the story. The story's baloney too. I don't really like this story. I don't know what the hell is going on in this story so far. I mean, there's like some sort of weird enchanted fish or something of some sort that she's got in this, and like there's like some god woman comes and like what is it? She tells her to call her Majesty. I can't even tell you exactly what was happening in this. Like they really bounced around, and not only that, they really went out of their way to move on from earlier story plots. Like I understand that this is a new writer, but like I didn't like how the friend of hers deceived her and got her arrested. Like that kind of seemed weird and out of character for that guy. Like despite him saying, "Oh, I'm just worried about you. I'm your friend." I was like, "That's weird." Like that guy was in love with her, you know what I mean? Like, so I kind of thought that was out of character, and yeah, it just didn't work for me. The whole thing just didn't work. And like this is a book I'll continue buying because Christine reads it as well, and I have high hopes for it still. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of the artists involved. Not so much the writer. Like I've read other things. I think she's the writer of Catwoman right now, Chris. This writer as well.
Yeah, I don't know. This backup story.
No, I like the backup. The backup was like Sailor Moon, like basically, right? Like I like the backup. I like Erica Henderson's cartoony art. I dug the backup, actually. You weren't a fan of the backup either? I like the backup. I think the backup was probably the stronger part of the issue, to be honest with you. So that doesn't say much about the main issue because this was like a short story. I just thought it was really fun. Like, anyways, yeah. So that's all I have to say about it. I mean, It wasn't great. I hope
Yeah, it doesn't give me hope for this arc or the next few issues at the very least.
it's air. Yeah, I mean, if this is going to be the new status quo, like I could see you if who was kind of dipping in and buying the issues again, kind of dipping back out very
Yeah,
right. I don't know. This might just be like a first issue, like, jitters type of thing where she's like, oh, I got to establish all these new things and I'm the new writer, blah, blah, blah. Maybe she'll find her way. But this didn't bode well, let's say, for the future of this book for me enjoying it. Let's say that much. What did you give this out of 5 then?
fuck. 3.25. I got to give it a bit lower.
3.
3.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
giving it.
I'd agree with you on that too.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got the Ambassadors #1, which I think we both read digitally. This is the new Mark Millar book. So every issue of this series, I think it's like a 6-issue series because that's normally what he does. Focuses on a different superhero emerging around the world, I guess, in a world that really hasn't had superheroes all that much. And it's drawn by a different artist, like a different superstar kind of artist, like really popular artist that he works with lots of great artists, Mark Millar. So like every issue, and this is drawn by Frank Quietly, who takes like a fucking year to draw an issue normally, this guy, who I'm a big fan of personally. Again, another very detailed artist, great storyteller. What'd you think of this, Chris?
That's wasn't what I was expecting. Maybe 6 1 shots, of each kind of hero in whatever country they are. But it looks like it's going to be an ongoing story, and I'm not sure who the hero was in the first one. Was it the Korean
Yes.
CEO, whatever? So she's the first hero.
Yeah.
And she's the one that found out about all this stuff, right? She's like the that figured out the gene or whatever, like that, as the story went. Let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not disappointed that I didn't buy it, but I'll probably read it through. I think it's interesting enough.
Yeah, I mean, I liked seeing Frank Quietly's art. Like I said, you don't really get much artwork from him. He is a notoriously slow artist, so I was happy to see that. I can't wait to see who else he works with on this series and what other ideas he comes up with. Because, like I said, he's a really good pitch man, let's say, because he pitches all these kind of mini series out there and they all become fucking TV shows. Mark Millar, he basically sells a lot of these ideas. So I'm interested to see what other concepts he comes up with, or how far they delve into like kind of like this emergence of superheroes in this new story that he's doing, or like if he's going to connect it to his other Millarverse type stuff like you had mentioned, and everything else, right? So yeah, because I mean, you got this other, like, I don't know, like he's kind of like a monkey type boy that has like psychic powers in this, or like he basically can, he's like Jean Grey essentially, but like he's like I don't know, a monkey experiment type kid or something like that. It seems like,
Yeah.
like they talk about how they faked like during them first versus the Russians, like the space race type thing. They like faked the fact that they had superheroes back then, and they had like basically a fake Superman that they had on like wires and shit like that. And they kind of get into some of the government conspiracy type shit that was going on with them behind the scenes and the experimentation on people. And yeah, that Korean girl basically ends up killing her actual body, her vessel, because now she's created a new vessel for herself, essentially. Like she killed off the one that's imprisoned because she was able to do that with her powers somehow. And they kind of get it. She basically says, like, yeah, I'm gonna award each territory, like, you know what I mean? Like she's basically the one pushing for this emergence of people with superpowers and for them to actually and really it's just to do good, like by like, you know what I mean? So like I really like that concept. Because the government and everybody's like confused at that. They're like, oh, what? She's not gonna, try to make money off this. She's not going to try to do it for this reason. She's just going to do it to do it. And they were all really confused by that, right? So I thought that was cool. This scene at the end was crazy too. This guy in the bar, he basically kills all these like SWAT team that comes in to like take him down. He's like, yeah, now you're going to be shitting yourselves. And they basically all start shitting themselves. And then now your faces are going to fold in on
Yeah.
it. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like this is a gruesome scene to end on at the end as he's just walking off, right? It's like brutal. So yeah, there's I guess all these people that are around the world that are gonna And then also, I think she's going to award superpowers to somebody too, or something like that, right? I think that's what she has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the kind of, I don't know if I get that out of the story, but more out of the solicitations is that there's supposed to be a new hero in every issue.
Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't bad. It was an all right start.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see more. So, what'd you give
yeah,
it?
I'll probably read this through. Looks good. Yeah, I give it a 3.75.
Same. Yeah. 3.75 out of 5. Next up, we got Local Man number 2. Bring that up. You also read this one online. What do you think of this, Chris? Did you get
I
read the first one as well, I
I
guess?
didn't read the first one. I just kind of, I remember you talking about the first one, saw this one was out there. Yeah, I just read this one online. And I thought it was pretty good.
Me
And,
too.
you want to talk about art style here. I wouldn't say this is the flashy art style, but it looks like it's done purposefully. And, it's still detailed. It looks like it was hard work to do. Whereas, that Daredevil, like, it just looked like it was rushed and they didn't want to do it because I got to get this in on the deadline and that's it.
Yeah.
So I have no problems with this art here. I thought the art, suits the tone of the story, and I thought it was great. And the storyline itself, with this kind of I don't want to say, I don't know if he's a washed up hero there, but kind of the guy that wants to get out of the game seems to be getting pulled back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of the interactions he has with the people with the town, where I think he's with that cop's wife or something, and then just the interaction between them. And so I didn't know you knew her, or I didn't know you knew my wife, and all that sort of stuff. And then he's talking to what is that? Uh, the enemy's mother or something.
Yeah. So in the first issue, he came back to town and he met with an old flame of his, like an old friend, the woman that he alluded to, that's the guy's wife. They just met up at the bar because she's a friend of his. I guess they had a history prior to
Yeah,
a superhero. And he was kind of part of like a Justice League esque type team, like, right? Like during the extreme 90s image kind of universe.
yeah,
So basically, a villain shows up at the bar in the last issue that he has a tussle with. And I guess the guy is also from this town. And then after when he left him, he ended up somehow getting killed. And that's basically, yeah, it was his mother that he goes and speaks to. I guess he knew him when they were younger. And that's why he went and spoke to her in this issue, kind of about everything that basically went down with her son, essentially, right? Because
yeah. So he has good conversations with her. They allude to stuff in the past that he's done to get kicked out of this Justice League,
yeah,
and I thought it's just fun, and I thought it was a good story.
yeah.
If there was any one of the comics that I buy that I did read online, this might have been one of them. But I don't feel that bad. I don't think it's any earth shattering stuff that I'm missing. But I think it's a good story, and I like it.
No, I agree with you. I like this issue even more than I like the first issue, to be honest with you. So, I mean, this was a good jumping on point for you in that sense. I think this was a strong issue. Yeah, I really also enjoyed this one, and I'm interested. I'm even more so interested to see where it goes from here, because at the end, like you said, him getting pulled back in, it seems like he kind of just threw on like a proto kind of like type like costume, because he
Yeah,
can't
just kind of some stuff he had in the basement.
can no longer rep the superhero he used to be, because they
Yeah,
have like restraint, like they put out like legally he's not allowed to rep that costume anymore, and because he used to be part of that team, and they're monitoring him constantly now,
yeah,
right? So he wants to find this murderer now, though, whoever killed his friend, right? And I think he felt really bad because of how it all went down and how he became a suspect and everything else, right? And he kind of wants to do right. Yeah, I won't spoil it. We can talk about it next time if we were to continue reading it. But you're right; they do reveal the reason why he got dropped from the team in this issue, which you kind of got that impression in the first issue, but they didn't flat out say it. They did say it in this issue, so that made it really interesting. I think,
yeah,
like, more so, because you get some flashback moments in the first issue, and you kind of get that idea that maybe that's what was going on, but they don't actually like flat out tell you, I feel like. And then this one, so it made it really interesting. I agree with you. I think the art was good for this story. I think it fits it well. And I'm looking forward to what comes next. And I think right for now it's an ongoing series. I think they said like they've already done like the first 5 or 6 issues, and then based on sales, like a lot of these image series, if it's popular enough, they may move forward. So this might be a book for you guys out there that if this sounds interesting, you may want to go support it, because that might
maybe.
Yeah, maybe, because that might actually, might actually make this past 5 or 6 issues as a result, right? The first issue did go back to print though, which is a good sign. So I did hear about that. One of the creators that's involved with this book, I actually heard on another comics podcast recently talking about that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's great. So yeah, what'd you give this then out of 5?
I give it a 4. I thought it was good.
Damn, 4 out of 5. Yeah, strong issue, and yeah, I'm looking forward to more. Next up, I got Strange Academy Finals number 5. Yeah, this is, I think it might be ending with the 6th issue, at least this season of Strange
Yeah.
Academy, because the first one was like, it might be the end of it though. I don't know. The first one was a lot longer. I think it went like 18 issues or 15 issues or something the first season, and then this one is at this finals chapter. So maybe this is the conclusion. I don't know, but it sure seems like it is coming to a close, and I don't think there's been anything solicited past issue 6. So this might be one of those situations where we get to the next one, and by the end, you got a letter from the author being like, "Oh, that's it,"
Yeah,
So
might be in the fall again, a
yeah.
new class or something like that.
But yeah, this continues to be good. I really like the work that Humberto Ramos, the artist on this series, has done, and basically this is kind of like this is kind of like a parent teacher type event, one of those things where like the parents all end up showing up, and Dormammu, who's the father of one of the children here, ends up showing up to the party, and of course it's fucking Dormammu, so that's a problem. And but then you find out there's another student that basically left the school that has now also become a villain, who basically has sided now with Dormammu, and she basically comes there to cause basically break up the party here. She brings a bunch of other demons and everything else with her, and demons, Chris.
Well, this is the book about demons, so it's
Yeah.
more understandable.
Yeah. So yeah, it was decent. It wasn't anything like crazy. I think it just continued to be an enjoyable book, and I look forward to whether or not if it concluded next issue, I wouldn't be mad at it. I would even pick up the full collection if they were to collect it all in a nice hardcover or something, because I've really enjoyed this book, and yeah, again, not too much.
Good.
Yeah, and not too much Doctor Strange, but I mean, if you're a sucker for these type of books like I am, where there's like younger team types going on, like it does have all the right elements of those type of books that are really good, like the Young Avengers, or like the any of those type of books, the young X-Men teams. Like this fits right in that category. It's just obviously it has more of like a magic kind of thing to it because of the fact that it's Doctor Strange, so they're able to explore different aspects to the Marvel universe that those books aren't really necessarily tapped into. A lot of those like more superhero team books. So yeah, I give it a 3.75. Yeah, decent issue.
Nice.
And next up, I got Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, number 5. This is continuous Jason Aaron's creator-owned book. This is the end of the first arc. He's already said that this is going to only run 15 issues. And it's 3 arcs of 5 issues with a different artist for each arc. So I think this was a strong start. I think we're going to time jump probably between now and the next arc, because we've continued to get like a couple of pages dedicated at the end of each issue to some future kind of situation with these characters. And like how they get to that situation, I have no clue. Like that's what makes it really interesting, because you're like, wow, a lot must have went down for them to get to this place in time, and whether or not it's going to be the last 5 issue arc of this series or not, we'll see. But I like that he already said this is like not fine. It's finite. Like it's only going to be like 15 issues. So in this issue, basically, Maceo he's involved in this thing that's called I don't know, I forgot what the hell it's called, but it's basically like like an Olympics of sort. Apocalyptics is what they call it. And he has to face all these like ranger dicks, these like kids that are like part of this like these like what are they, like Boy Scouts in the apocalypse type of people. And basically he has to go through like a bunch of trials and like like different types of games that he continues to lose at against them. So it looks like his time is up. Like they're going to kill him essentially by the end of this if he doesn't actually come out on top of these challenges, right? but like they're ridiculous challenges, like distance spitting, man roaring, cactus tackling, like they're ridiculous things, right? So it's kind of fun. You see a few pages of him going through these different challenges, right? And it's funny. But yeah, this girl that he's in love with that basically accompanied him, or he accompanied throughout the throughout her journey that he ended up meeting. She ends up coming back here to save him because these are people that she rolled with prior to meeting up with him, and she actually flew the coop when he actually came across them because she didn't want to get caught by them, and she didn't, I guess, want to face her past and these people that she's moved on from and ran away from. And she comes back to save him in this, and he basically he's like Data or something from fucking the Goody. Like he basically does all these like inventions and stuff like on the fly out of shit that he has. So he creates this like rocket launcher type of weapon, and when you think he's going to use it against these guys, he ends up shooting it at the mountain that's in the foreground there, and it carves out like a replica of the girl's face, and then he basically professes his love to her. And like all these guys are like confused as to like why he would do that, and they're so thrown off that they're able to take them out. Like she ends up taking them down, their leader, as a result of him being distracted with everything going on, and they end up back together walking through the wasteland, and they end up finally kissing each other, and it looks like they're gonna, they've fallen for one another by the end of this story. But again, there's still 2 more chapters, and by the end of the future scenario, they finally have met up in this kind of like this future scenario that they're teasing. She's an older, like savage warrior looking woman, and he's an old cyborg. Like he's like half man, half machine at this point in the future. And there was like death and destruction all around them. And he's like, "Oh, hey, Mezzy." Like they finally met up with one another again, So I don't know what the hell happened to them, but they are not in good standing with it in the future, like whatever has occurred from now till then. So I think that's the journey that we're basically seeing play out, right? So yeah, it's been an enjoyable story. I think there's a lot of good character work in it, and it's something different totally, I think, from Jason Aaron that I've never seen before. So I give it a 3.75 out of 5. Again, I think it's gonna be one of those books that I'll read better in one big chunk though. So we'll see. Depending on who the artist is on the next arc, I might drop it for now just because I might want to revisit it and read it all together, but we'll see what ends up happening. All right, Unstoppable Doom Patrol #1 came out this week. Chris, did you read this one online like I
Yeah, I
did?
did read this one online. I remember you talking about it. You thought you were saying you're pretty excited to read this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I gave it a quick read there. It wasn't too bad. Kind of gave me vibes of early X-Men type of stuff. I don't know what they call the mutation here, or the metagene or something. But basically, it's a team of whatever they have, kind of going out trying to find, wayward metahumans. I guess after the Lazarus Project, there's a whole bunch of, or the Lazarus Reigns, or whatever you want to call it. There's a whole bunch of metahumans out there that kind of are lost in the shuffle, and they're just trying to go help them out. So I thought it was a good story.
I love this. I thought this was a great debut issue. It's going to be, I think, a 6-issue miniseries, so I'm going to continue with it. It was weird and fun, and like the mission statement made a lot of sense. Like you said, they're kind of rounding up these mutants, and one of them joins the team by the end of this, and the professor is now a woman. I don't know what the hell happened there, but like you have all the usual suspects of Doom Patrol members, other than like I said, professors being a different sex now, and then also now it's got his daughter, which she was a creature and a character in the actual like a creature similar to this, and a character in the actual Doom Patrol show. So it does seem like they're kind of tapping into some of the show stuff because of who shows up on the last page, which I believe I pulled the art on as well here, which you might see in a second. You got the obligatory like Batman showing up in it, but in classic Doom Patrol fashion, they basically told him to beat it by the end of this. Like they're like, yeah, don't worry, we got this under control. Like he's like, all right, I'll be watching. Like what I mean?
Yeah, well, I got my eyes on you.
So I really like how they handled him showing up, and I think the artist is perfect for this. Chris Burnham's art again is like weird looking art, but it works for this book. So I think it's like his style. I think for some would not be the norm. I think in terms of comic book artists, but I'm a big fan of his, and I think this is just a perfect vehicle for his art. So yeah, this whole thing where the guy like shrunk and he's like a fat dude and then like a muscular like
Yeah.
dude. guy I thought was really neat. Yeah, I'm on board, man. And Peacemaker shows up at the end. I'm like, yes. so, so, I'm sure they're gonna make him wacky in this of all things because it's a Doom
Yeah,
Patrol.
well, this is where it deserves to be wacky.
Monsieur Mala is at the start, which is a real deep cut for anybody who doesn't know that. That talking fucking gorilla. He's like a Gorilla Grodd type of guy, but he's like,
I mean, who's that brain thing? Is that the brain?
that's the brain. It's Monsieur Mala and the brain. Those are characters from DC Comics. But again, those are deep cut characters. Maybe not a lot of people know those guys, but they have showed up in Doom Patrol before. They have showed up in other things in the DC universe as well. So I think again, just I love this. I thought this was like for a Doom Patrol book. This hit all the right notes for me. I'm like, yeah, I'm in for this miniseries. I'll read this online. So, what'd you give this one?
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.75. I push on a 4, but like I said, I'm not familiar with all these characters. Just read a bit about them, but I guess a lot of the characters have a lot of places to go. Like I don't even know what their power sets are, and with their maxed out powers, I'm sure everybody can get their Saiyan levels sooner or later, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I think this is a strong debut issue. Kind of disappointed I didn't end up buying the issue like physically. But for that matter, if it continues to be this enjoyable, I'll pick up the trade when it comes out. Like that.
Yeah.
That's how good I thought this was.
They should just call it Doom Patrol. Get that unstoppable out. I think it ruins the title.
I agree. Next up, we got Invincible Iron Man number 4. There we go. Chris?
Well, I was reading the Iron Man stuff before this, and then when the new one came out, I think about the first issue or two, and then it kind of dropped off. But I'm kind of maybe regretting it. The story seems to be pretty decent here. And I guess Fei Long there is revealed to be trying to take over whatever Stark Towers. They have some good back and forth in between them. I think they're sort of equally prepared for each other, let's say. And the ending of this was just great. I love it when they kind of cross over into other worlds. I think there's some good covers coming up too, but I don't got those on pre-order, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I think Jerry Duggan, the writer of this book, one of his strengths, that's on display here as well as like in his X-Men books and stuff, is that he makes choices, I feel like, for these titles that aren't in the norm for these characters. Like, and the fact that he's doing X-Men and now he's bringing some of his X-Men type stuff in this book, I found very interesting. Like, it ended on like a White Queen note with Emma, and then you got the Fei Long stuff. So I was, I thought that was all really interesting. And, I also feel like, again, like some of the story choices and the fact that the X-Men are showing up in this, like these are things that it's outside of the norm of what I expect to see in an Iron Man comic. And I know for some people that's a deal breaker, but for me, I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is something different for me. So like, I enjoy him as a writer. I've enjoyed this one so far. I would give this issue. I think this series so far is, maybe not as great as the run previously was, at least earlier in the run. But it's it's building, it's getting interesting. So I'm interested to see where it heads. I'll continue reading it for now.
I'll definitely read the next issue for sure.
Yeah, what'd you give this out of 5 then?
I'll give it a 3.75. I mean, if I was buying it or if I was kind of all into it, it might hit a 4.
Same. Yeah, 3.75. Next up, it's Jeff number 1, which I got here. I got this one, like this Jaws type of cover.
Oh, you bought it? I remember when it was in solicitations, it piqued my interest, let's say. And I'm sort of glad I didn't buy it. I did read through it, because I did want to see what it's all about. I thought this would be more of a Mad Magazine type, where it's Jeff running around. It's just all satirizations of all the stuff that's going on in Marvel. But it just ended up all these kind of wordless 2 or 3 page cartoons about what's going on. Maybe they're all tied together somehow. I know a few seem to be tied to a few others. That was enough to hold my attention, see what it's all about, but I don't think it was anything special.
No, I don't think it was bad, but it's definitely not for me. It was much more cutesy than I was expecting it to be. I think that you can give this to this is a good all age comic. It's definitely different in tone than his appearance in the Kelly Thompson comics. Like in terms of the humor, it seems like she was going for something different here, because like if this was kind of how it was, if I thought it was going to be, I probably wouldn't have picked up the physical issue of this either. But like you said, I thought this was going to be something different than it actually turned out to be. But I think it was still fun. I mean,
Yeah, like these are a bunch of whatever newspaper cartoons basically put together. It seemed like like family circus type of stuff.
yes, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, this was done digitally. So like, this is basically just a collection of the comics they put out digitally. And it looks like there might be more by the end of this. So I'm sure it was successful. He was a beloved character when he showed up in a lot of her books. Christine's a huge fan of this character. I'm sure she'll get a kick out of this book. But for me, it was just okay.
Yeah.
I
I'm
just
glad I didn't buy it. I'll say that much for
Yeah,
sure.
I just don't think I was the target audience for this. But I will say, in my defense, the tone of this book and him in the other books that she was doing when he showed up is different.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the tone of him. Because in this, it's like, Jeff, like he keeps fucking things up and he basically is like like a little shit disturber. But in the comic, like when he did that kind of stuff in the other comics where he showed up in certain stories, he was more of a pain in the ass. And this is just like, he's so cute. Like it was kind of like
Yeah. Oh, you ate the turkey. Ha ha ha.
the other one, he was like menacing. He's like, it's a fucking shark. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a shark, but like he'll still bite the shit out of you, right? This, it was just like, look at him. He's curled up like on the plate. You know what I mean? I was just like, yeah, whatever. So what would you give this then if you had to rate it? I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to give it a bad rating just because it's not what I thought it was, but I'll give it a 3.5.
I'll go in the middle. I'll give it a 3.25. And
Yeah.
that might just be like I said, just me personally. I think I wasn't the target. I don't know if I would have been the target audience for this. And if I thought that the tone was going to be like this, I probably would have skipped it. But other people may really love this, I think.
Yeah.
And then Thor number 32, our last book of the night here. Thor 32. Cool cover. Yeah.
Yeah, cool cover. Of course, it has nothing to do with the story, but cool cover in itself.
So what'd you think, Chris?
The story's okay. It's decent. It's nothing crazy. The stuff with Doom there is great. I was expecting, a Doom and Thor confrontation from the cover that I bought, and I don't think it even happens. I think he ends up maybe at Doom's castle near the end or something.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to read it. I think I'm going to follow this out. I'd like the kind of the stuff where I guess that's his sister, right? That's there. That was a baby earlier, and now she's old, and he's going back in time or back and forth in time or something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. But I think this could be a whole lot better, or should be a whole lot better than it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm still liking. I like all the ingredients that are being put into this recipe.
Yeah.
At times it tastes off the recipe, but or that it should be a lot better than it is. Let's say I'm trying to use this now.
Yeah, they do. Like they have all the right ingredients, but freaking, I don't know. Maybe they took the cake out too soon or something.
Yeah. Let's say that. Yeah. I'm enjoying it enough, but at times it's much more bland than I would expect.
Yeah. Missing the spice.
Yeah, missing the spice. So there you go. I'm sure we'll get a show name out of there somewhere. Episode. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I'll take okay. It's better than bad.
Yes, agreed. So, Donny Kate, come back. Maybe that's the name of this episode. Come back,
yeah.
Donny.
That's it.
What'd you give this one?
Good. I'll give it a 3.5.
Yeah.
I know. I read this one of my last comics I read and just had me wondering. I was like, am I asking too much for comic books nowadays? Or I don't know. Like, before I used to just read them. It was good, it's bad, whatever. Now I don't know if I'm looking for too much out of them. But I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, it changes too, because when you come on here and talk about them critically as well, you got to kind of look at it. But I think, like I said, sometimes we have great weeks. Sometimes you have a mixed bag. I think that's just the nature of it, right? Especially if you're reading these things periodically. But then at the same time, I think coming on here and actually chatting with them about them with you does give me a little bit more out of the times where they aren't that great. You know what I mean? Like, I think so. Like, it's a fun sometimes just to talk about them in that sense, because the times that they aren't all winners, at least, I get to chat about them with somebody where
Yeah,
it's just, they're not just read, forgotten, and just thrown onto a stack somewhere. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Right? It's something
Well, I
out of
did read that life story, that Spider-Man life story. Whoa, that is freaking mind blowing. I love that thing. Like I haven't got all the way through, and I can see why. When you see Bagley on something, you get excited about it. Where the hell is he? It's Bagley in Spider Verse, right?
Yes.
Or that's whatever the Spider Man.
Yeah.
Like what? Did he freaking break his arm or something, or what's going on? Like that is so awesome. The art in there, like you had the flashes of that in that one issue of Spider Man, and the rest of it, I don't know where it is. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, is he writing with like using his other hand or something, or what's going on?
I mean, yeah, this wasn't too long ago, the Spider-Man life story, because I could say, hey, he's getting older, but like Spider-Man life story was just like a few years ago. So I mean, like,
I think he just doesn't like doing all that Spider Verse stuff.
maybe because
Because
like,
he,
but Chris, but that's also the thing though. Sometimes you get the right artist for the right project. Like Spider-Man life story is a book that I feel like he should be drawing. You know what I mean? Like, so like, this Spider-Verse stuff, like you said, there's like a million characters. What kind of artist, like even somebody as fast as Mark Bagley, you don't want
yeah,
to sit there and draw like
in
seven.
that one issue that he did do the where like that kind of the if Peter Parker did become Spider Man, like that would fit with what he's doing in this story. But
What,
the rest of it is like, what the heck?
and we did say that was probably one of his better
Yeah,
drawings. So maybe that's why. Like that's why I want to see what happens with him past Spider-Verse, because he's still like, let's see what happens with that Electro issue that's going to come out.
yeah, we'll see what's going on there. But
Because like he's a classic Spider-Man artist. Like and I think Life Story, I'm glad you're liking it because it's a great one, man. The Spider-Man Life Story. That's why I said to you, I'm like,
yeah, that is.
all that other shit's gone. But I said when I saw Chris when he recorded with me in person, guys, the other day, I'm like, Chris, you got to take the Spider-Man life story. And I handed it off to him. Like, you got to read this, man. It's really good,
Like they
right?
could use that as a template for like the Spider-Man run. He can fill in the rest of his life story. I'd read that all day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great one.
Anyways,
So let's very quickly, if you want here, we got the image solicits. You want to take a quick look at
yeah, I'll
that?
take a peek through there. Sure.
Sure. Let me just bring that up here. Let me just bring that up. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know, like comicreleases.com hasn't really been putting up image solicitations, I feel like, the last couple of times. I don't know if Image is now the ones exclusively putting it on their website.
Yeah, I don't know because when they do come out, they're like freaking. It's like when they're doing the store already.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I don't know why that is, like why they come out so late now on that site, but they have all the rest of them. And this was the only one I think that was worth kind of checking out here out of everything. So just give me 1 second. Let me pull that up. Change up the browser here for this. 1 second. But yeah, there's a few interesting books I kind of wanted to highlight. I looked at some of the other solicits for other companies. I didn't really look at there's much new things coming out. So bear with
Yeah, like
me.
what's Dark Horse doing? Like they don't have anything going on, do they?
I mean, they got not new stuff. Like I looked at their solicits, and it didn't look like there was more like many new interesting books coming.
Yeah.
Kind of more of the same stuff that's been like known. Like Image got like usually every month they got a few new series that are starting. Dark Horse had nothing this month, so that's what I mean. That's why I didn't bother with them. But I think Image has a few books that I might pick up or things at least that look interesting. I figure we'd highlight. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. Bring this up. Okay. So yeah, Savage Dragons back. In Hell We Fight #1.
Ooh, that looks interesting.
Yeah, it does actually. I might read this one online, but I do like John Layman, the writer on this. He wrote Chew, which I was a big fan of that series, and it sounds interesting. Life in hell, essentially. It says life in hell ain't easy. Demons try to torture you for all eternity. Monsters want to eat you. There's a stunning lack of reliable indoor plumbing, and it's almost impossible to get ice cream. At least until today, when 3 condemned teens and their annoying tag-along demon frenemy embark on a daring scheme to hijack a demon lord's delivery truck. What happens next will take them on an epic journey across the underworld, an infernal excursion of nonstop excitement, danger, and adventure. It could be fun. So yeah, I might check this one out. Then you got Void Rivals #1. This is a new Robert Kirkman series. I'm gonna probably be picking this up. I feel like sometimes outside of Firepower, I've read basically everything else he's done in trade as opposed to issues. But I
Yeah.
also haven't been there at the ground floor for a lot of the starts of them. And I like the artist that he's pairing with on this is somebody that he did another series called Oblivion Song with prior to this. I was a really big fan of. So we'll see how this one reads because I kept reading Firepower and issues and I enjoyed it. But this sounds interesting. It's the launch of an all new shared universe and a surprise you won't see coming. So it actually looks like they're leaning into some more of these image shared universes, Chris. Here,
Yeah.
war rages around the sacred ring where the last remnants of two worlds have collapsed around a black hole and a never ending war. So it looks like he's kind of going sci fi again with this one, which I was a big fan of his last sci fi series that he did with this same artist. So I'm going to check this out. I think I'm going to check out the first issue of this at least and see where I want to go with there from there. But I might check this
Yeah.
out.
Whatever happened with crossover? Did that series end or?
I think it's ended, yes, or at least
Okay.
for now. They might,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it just ended, which is a shame because I really like that book. But it looks like they're trying to do more of these type of books. Like I didn't stick with that Radiant Black stuff, but there's like all these spin-offs
Yeah.
and all these books now, Radiant Red and
Yeah.
Black.
There's Radiant Pink and there's Rogue Sun and like there's the I don't know. That's just all Power Rangers basically that aren't Power Rangers.
Basically. But the image does seem like they're kind of more trying to do these connected shared universe
Yeah.
type books. So, there might be something there. And Robert Kirkman's involved. I'll check it out. Boy Rivals #1. Then he got the return after like 20 fucking years of Battle Chasers. I don't know what's going on here. This is I have the trade of this. This is was drawn the first 9 issues, then he abandoned it like 20 years ago by Joe Madeira, who's an awesome artist. But he went to work in video games. So now he's coming back finally all these years later, relaunching this book with issue #10, keeping the numbering, but he's got a different fucking artist on the book.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the draw is here for anybody anymore. Like, I don't think I'm going to check this out. I have the first trade, but like the draw on this book was Joe Madeira's art. The fact that Joe Mad is not the artist on this book is like less appealing to me now. And like, so despite it coming back all these years later, this is a beloved series though by a lot of people when it first came out. So, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to read it. I might pick up the trade depending on how the art is, but not going to check it out in issues. Then you got Bone Orchard Tenement #1. This is the newest of the Bone Orchard kind of books in this horror series of books that Lemire is doing. I think this is a 10-issue miniseries. This one I heard. I'm not going to pick this up. I'm just going to wait till the big collections come out of this. This has been the last 2 ones that I read by them were really slow and maybe I'll check it out online, but I'm not going to pick up the issues of this. That's not to say I didn't enjoy the other stuff. It was just too slow. Haunt You to the End #1. I don't know what this is. A ghost story for the end of the world in a not so far future rife with climate disasters and worldwide instability. An eccentric billionaire and his crew, a disgraced journalist, a radical doctor, and TV demonologist, a squad of hard-bitten military contractors set out to prove the existence of life after death. Yeah, less interesting, I feel like. That sound interesting to you?
No.
Click, click, boom, #1. Meet
That's a
Sprout.
nice title.
Yeah, meet Sprout, a mute assassin who communicates exclusively through Polaroid pictures. What the fuck?
Okay, maybe not.
That's weird. Okay. Then you got
Maybe
Tales.
if I see it on the online there, maybe I'll give it a look.
Sure. Tales of Suspense. And so Suspense #1.
No.
The split book revival is underway at Syzygy. I don't know. Every month, Tales of Suspense presents 2 titanic 12-page tales of terror and turmoil. Yeah, okay. Nah, whatever. It's like a horror anthology, it sounds like then. And Ashley Wood. I know people like her stuff. I'm not a big fan of her art really though, so I'm out. And then we kind of get into that was all the new series, I think. Then we kind of get into a lot of the ongoing stuff, which at this point you kind of should know whether or not we're reading them. I think if we talk about them on the show here, Noctera, another one shot. I guess that's what we're mentioning. Noctera Nemesis special. Okay.
I fell off Noctera, but that was a pretty decent series.
Yeah. Yeah, see, is this one a spin-off as well?
Yeah, I think that's all part of that Radiant Black universe, this Infernal Girl, I think.
Christ, yeah.
Whenever there's a color involved, then it's probably them.
I figured, yeah. And yeah, these are just all collections. And yeah, let's see if there's any other changes here in the ongoing series. Got Ambassadors wrapping up in June. Arcade Kings, I'm looking forward to that. Dark Ride, I just read the first trade of this. This was good. I liked that. Giant Cockchew wraps up. Looking forward to that one. Like that comes out next week, possibly. We'll get to that in a moment. I Hate This Place. I read the first trade of that. That was good. Chaos.
What's that Junk Rabbit? Did you hear anything about that?
No, I thought we talked about it in the last solicits.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
No.
This Jimmy Robinson. I've read a couple other series from him in the past. He's okay. He's the guy. He usually writes and draws his own series. I've heard some good things about this Last Barbarians.
I did read the first issue.
Yeah.
And it was okay.
Yeah.
Looks decent.
Yeah, I've been hearing some good things about this. I might have to check it out. I don't know if I dig the art style though. Local Man number 5, and it doesn't say that it's the end yet, so that's a good sign. Yeah, see, they got like a Gen 13 type cover thing there. That's cool. I like how they're tapping into that, like the 90s stuff too. Magic Order number 6. That's number 4, number 6 is ending. That again, I read that in trade. That's a really good series at all times. I haven't been reading that in issues though. Old Dog, been very delayed and I dropped it. Phantom Road, that was a good first debut issue. Saga, Spawn, Star Signs, Terror War, Time Before Time, Torrent, Vanish number 8. Still here, Chris. Donny Cates.
Okay, that's good.
That's a good sign.
Donny Cates on the banner. That's good to see.
So this that's an awesome fucking cover. I'm getting that one.
Cover.
That's a Daniel Warren Johnson cover. I'm all over that one. Yeah, I mean they're all good.
Even the freaking Ryan Otley covers are freaking decent.
Yeah. You mean Stegman?
Or Stegman, sorry.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah. That's a problem. I'm actually having the hardest time these days deciding which cover to get out of those two when they bring this book out. Yeah, so this is the end of the story arc, the second story arc, it says here. They've been doing them in 4-issue story arcs, which maybe it means that it's only going to be a 12-issue series, or maybe, who knows like how long this is going to go on. But the first arc was 4 issues and the second arc has been 4 issues. So they're putting out trades at a 4-issue pace. Maybe it's kind of to give themselves more time to do the book. I don't know, but it's been great. I'm looking forward to what happens here. I don't even want to read what that says. Oh, it says extra. It says cataclysmic extra length conclusion to our first Vanish storyline, though. Okay. So that means that, it could be another 8 issues or something coming up then. Cool. And this sounds interesting too. World Tree. That comes out soon, the first issue. This is a new horror book from James Tynion, who I'm a fan of. So I'm looking forward to that. That's that. That's the Image solicitations for June. So a couple interesting things coming out.
Nice.
All right, Chris. What are you reading next week, man? Or picking up?
Next week, picking up Immortal X-Men 3, Spider-Man 7, Amazing Spider-Man 23, pretty sure Venom 18, and Batman 134. And then sort of whatever I see online, kind of whatever is happening at that time. But didn't really look there as much as piquing my interest.
Okay. Yeah, physical releases, things I'm picking up the issues of. I got Batman 134, Batman and Joker Deadly Duo number 6.
Yeah, well, number 6.
Amazing Spider-Man 23, Immortal X-Men number 3, Spider-Man 7. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you just said there. And I think things I'm reading digitally next week. I got Where Monsters Lie number 3. Looking forward to that. Adventures of John Kent number 2. I really love the first issue unexpectedly, so I'm going to be checking that out. Nightclub 4.
I won't be getting that then.
Yeah, Rogue and Gambit 2 I'm going to check out. Also a new, I think it's a horror book written by Matt Kent coming out from Dark Horse, Hairball 1, which had some sort of like freaky looking dead cat thing on the cover. So I'm going to check that out. Might be interesting. and possibly might read Saga 63. But like I said, that's been really not that great, I felt like lately. So we'll see if that makes the cut next week. But yeah, so a few interesting things I'm going to be reading digitally as well. So I'm sure you'll check out Where Monsters Lie as well. You've been enjoying that one as well too, right? With yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, if I see that out there, definitely read that one. That's a good one.
So there you go, guys. That's where we're going to be checking out next week. Chris, your favorite of the week, man.
I don't know. This is a tough week for that.
Yeah, it's kind of inconsistent this week, I feel like.
I might have to say it's one of the ones I read online. I'm gonna have to go with is it the Local Man 2 or that was my favorite one.
Local Man 2. Here we go. Local Man 2, guys, is Chris's favorite of the week there. Nice. I like that. I like that you jumped on board with this issue and it became your favorite of the week. Yeah, it was a solid issue. I agree with you. It's funny you say that, though, because this is probably my runner-up for favorite of the week, Local Man number 2. But I got to give it to Gotham City Year 1, issue 6, just because of how well of a job I think this he wrapped up this series. I was not expecting that. It kind of came out of left field just because it's been always decent. But I thought that this last issue in particular, and it might also be the fact it just came out on this week, it really stood above the other things I read this week. Actually, I don't even know if I'd give it to Local Man number 2. Unstoppable Doom Patrol also was really good. I kind of almost wanted to give it to that as for favorite of the week. There was a moment in time I was going to give it to that. I think prior to coming on the show talking about it today, I was going to give it to that, but I this was undeniably, I think, the best written thing that came out and impressive thing that came out this week. But I had a hell of a lot of fun with Local Man and Unstoppable Doom Patrol. So there you have it, guys. That's this week of comics. And oh, what the hell am I doing? Oh, I've lost it. I've lost it all, Chris.
Start again. Let's start all over.
All right. End the recording. All right, guys. So that's gonna do it for this week. Before I just self-destruct. I'll see you guys all next week. Thank you as always. Stay tuned. Always great new comics to talk about, and always a fun time talking to you, Chris. And shout outs to all of our fans worldwide that seem to be tuning in nowadays. All of you guys.
Any new countries dropping comments?
Not as of yet. Not as of yet, but we're getting new subscribers. A couple of new subscribers this past week. So that's always good to see.
All right. If you're somewhere, drop us. Let us know where you're at.
Yeah, let us know where you're at, where you guys are tuning in from if you do stumble across these shows and like what you see. All right, guys. Or if you don't like what you see, hit us up. I'm like, I hate this show. And I'm like, yeah.
That's it. I love it.
All right, guys. See you guys next time. Later, Chris.
Cheers.